You know you're a mom when you can't do one task without doing like 10 in one at the same time. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I decided to sit down and re-record my labor story video because I had trouble uploading the other one I recorded. I made a lot of references to Elena before she turned a year old, and now that she turned a year, I just decided to just re-record it. So starting off, this will be my labor story video, so like the weeks leading up to Elena's birth up until she was born. And then a second part of this video I want to do is Elena's birth story, so everything that happened after she was born. Yeah, that'll be another video that I upload. If I get to upload this one, I hope so. I really hope so. I really struggled with the past two I recorded. Hopefully third time's a charm. So I'm gonna get right into it. So when I went into my very last appointment before Elena's due date, which was either May 31st, 2019 of course, or June 1st. But I believe I was leading up to 40 weeks. So I don't think when I got to the appointment I was dilated at all. I think I remember her checking me to see if I was dilated, but I think I was barely a centimeter. At my last appointment, she told me that I was more likely to be induced because I was not feeling any Braxton Hicks contractions, and I was just not feeling anything, any sign that I was going to go into labor soon, besides the fact that I was huge. Once I was induced, they scheduled me for June 6th at 5:30 in the morning to be at the hospital, and I was 40 weeks 6 days. I did not get any sleep that night. I had my hospital bag packed for weeks now, and I kept on like checking it. The diaper bag I took with me with her change of clothes and everything that I needed for her, also packed already way before her due date. I arrived at the hospital at 5:30 in the morning. We went through the ER because it was so early, and then they would take us to the maternity section of the hospital. They do the routine. So they weigh me before they take me to the room to start paperwork, signing, everything that is needed before they started. And I also put an IV just for extra fluids and to put the medicine and anything that they're gonna use. So she's like right here. And yeah, so they were getting me ready. I changed into the hospital gown. Sorry, she's very distracting. And they were just going through the whole routine before they actually induced my labor. So once I got the IV settled, they told me that I was going to get my first dose of Pitocin, which is a medication that they give you in order to start contractions or make them a little bit stronger to hurry the process along. So they gave me that first dose. They told me I was going to wait 4 hours, and then if all went well, my contractions were going to keep on going and so on. If not, they're going to assess me after the 4 hours. So the 4 hours passed, still nothing. I was not feeling anything, no contractions at all. And the nurses came in and they told me, we're going to give you another dose of Pitocin, wait another 4 hours and see how baby reacts to that. Those 4 hours passed and still nothing. Elena was not wanting to come out in that moment, I guess. My contractions, I did not feel really anything. So the doctor then assessed me and said, you know what, I'm just going to break your water. And that was an extremely uncomfortable sensation of feeling like you peed yourself. But when she broke my water, it was all steady from there. My contractions started to pick up. I started to feel a lot more. They were still bearable. After a while, I asked for a yoga ball, and I was bouncing on that for a good while. And it was, I don't really think it helped me like with the pain or anything, but it was just a distraction bouncing on that. I was eating a popsicle, I was watching The Office, I was having a great time. Bearable contractions. I think up until that point my doctor was checking me and I still hadn't dilated a lot. I was barely like 2 centimeters at that point. The nurses were coming in routinely to check on me, and I was feeling good. I was on the yoga ball up until the point Chris and I got our first scare with Elena. So I forgot to mention this, but when you are admitted into the hospital and they're setting everything up, they actually put a monitor around your tummy to check baby's heartbeat and everything, and also to check, you know, the contractions yourself and your heartbeat. And those monitors, I guess I didn't hear it, but there's like a screen that shows our heartbeats and everything. But Elena's heartbeat was getting really, really low. I was just bouncing on the yoga ball, and nurses and the doctor came in and told me, baby's heartbeat is really low. We need you to get up the yoga ball, get back on the bed. They do a couple, like a little, you know, like tests, and then they told me to kind of move to one side, and they moved me to the other. They were like touching my belly, trying to see if her heartbeat would pick back up again, because sometimes the babies, they like press on their umbilical cord, they get tangled, and that causes a low heartbeat detected. Her heartbeat slowly started back up again. Maybe, you know, she was just pressing on it. And so after that first scare, I could still feel her moving around. My contractions were picking up way more. Chris started massaging my back because at least for me, it helped a lot when he was massaging like my lower back, like at the very end of my spine. He was just massaging me because contractions, I could feel them more in the back than in front. So yeah, he was massaging my back. The contractions started to pick up a little bit more, and I was trying so hard to keep myself on my birth plan of wanting a natural birth with no medication. But I also told myself that I knew that the moment I started crying because of the pain is when I was no longer able to tolerate it. The doctor came in to check me. I was still barely at 3 centimeters. I was not dilating as I should have been. With the strong contractions that I had, I finally gave in. This took everything in me because I did not, it just broke my heart not going along with what I wanted and what I thought was gonna happen. Lena's joining us. But yeah, I finally gave in and I wanted an epidural. And the anesthesiologist came in and he explained the whole process to me. They sat me on the edge of the bed. I was still feeling contractions throughout all of this, so it was even like 10 times worse. He had me sit down on the edge of the bed. Chris was right in front of me, so he would kind of like hold my head or hold my body, and I would curl up. My whole back had to be completely curled. But he finally, you know, he set me up and everything in order to get the epidural, and you can feel it. Well, I felt it run through my legs, and it, like, I don't even know how to explain. I felt as if like the needle was going through my legs as well as my back and my spine. It was a completely different pain than what I was experiencing with my contractions. Along with my contractions, I had gotten the epidural, and I was feeling a lot better. The pain started to subdue, and I wasn't feeling the contractions. I could still see them on the monitor, how they would spike and then come back down. After like a couple minutes, probably like 10-15 minutes, when Elena gave us our second scare, the nurses and the doctor came in and told me that Elena's heartbeat was dropping once again. This time I was fully aware of the situation, and I could just feel myself starting to cry again, because it's really scary once you realize like something's going wrong, especially in a moment where you feel like everything should be going right or a certain way. I was shaking. Later on, I found out that the shaking was due to all of the adrenaline I was feeling, along with, you know, trying to go through the contractions and then the epidural. I started to shake, like my whole body, like I could not control it. That, along with crying and just being really scared in that moment, because they started doing the same techniques that they did with the first scare that Elena gave us, where they were moving me from side to side. They told me to get on all fours on the bed and, you know, try to move my belly around that way, and nothing was helping. I don't know how long went by, but it was, her heartbeat was just not getting any higher than what it was. And in that moment, I see the doctor come back to my side, because she was with the nurses on my right side. And she came around and she told me, she's like, baby's heartbeat is not getting any higher. We are gonna have to do a C-section to get baby girl out because she's not responding. And I think I started crying even harder because in my mind there was no possibility of me having a surgery in order to have my baby. Like I said, I had a birth plan, nothing of what I expected it to be, and it was extremely hard to take that fact that I was about to be in the room about to be cut open to get my kid. But she started to kind of like reassure me and said, like I know this is probably what you thought was gonna happen, but you're about to meet your baby girl, like just think about it. In a couple minutes you're gonna see her beautiful face and you're gonna get to hold her. And I feel like her words calmed me down, and I could just like see Chris's face too, and it was just like a complete shock to us both. Finally, they started prepping me to take me to the room where they were gonna operate on me. Chris had to fall behind because while they prepped everything, no one else was allowed to be in the room except for the nurses and the doctor and then anesthesiologist. Because I had the IV and I already had the epidural, it was a little bit easier to put my whole body asleep. I was still able to be conscious. I remember them passing me from the bed I was on to the operating table. They stretched out my arms so they wouldn't be on my, like, close to my torso. Just everything in the moment was leading onto me being able to see my baby girl's face, and that was the only thing that kept me calm. Finally, the doctor came in and she just checked my midsection to see if I was feeling anything, and I don't know exactly what she ran over my belly, but I still felt it. My next door neighbor to the room I was in before, she was having twins, and so she was the doctor, in charge of that mom and of myself. So she said, you know what, I'm gonna go check on the twins while your body finally starts to fall asleep. We'll get everything started. And so she ran out. One of the nurses came over to my side and told me, baby's heartbeat is starting to, pick back up again. It was like, but she's still not where we're supposed to be. We're still ready to proceed. The hospital, I believe all hospitals do this, but they play a little lullaby when a baby is born. And I knew that in that moment the twins were born. And I just see my doctor run back in and said, okay, let's do this. Let's meet baby girl. So I still couldn't, feel anything in my body, but I was still conscious. I was still talking to Chris. He was right there by my side. And it's a very weird sensation. You can't feel the pain, but I could feel that pressure and everything moving down there. And I could feel how they were pulling my baby out. Finally, at 2:10 in the morning, we hear her cry. And I feel like all moms say the same thing, but that moment, I just started crying like it was nothing like I experienced. Chris was the first one to go get her and hold her because my arms were asleep. So he brought her to my side and just held her face against mine, and it was just, she's laughing. I'm over here emotional and she's laughing at me. It's just such an emotional moment, and beside everything we went through to get her to be with us, I would go through it again, of course. It was such a roller coaster that day, and she wasn't even born the day I was gonna do. She was born, of course, the morning after, on June 7th. Completely different from what I imagined my labor was gonna be. Of course, I'm still praying to have a natural birth with my other kids, God willing. That kind of taught me to just be prepared for everything. You never know what's gonna happen in the moment, and of course everything's gonna happen the way it's supposed to, the way it's planned out for you. So thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for Elena's birth story video that will be uploaded next, if I can get this one to upload. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It really means the world to me. Bye.